Oh,
I feel like that's like lawyers' dream. I thought that's what.
lawyers and engineers. Yeah. I mean, I chimed in with my,
Want to learn more about what you just saw?
fairgrounds water right.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? So this is a 2-year lease between Missoula County and Missoula County's Risk Fund. And the county attorney's office will be leasing 4 offices and some common space on the 2nd and 3rd floor of the Risk building at Spruce for our civil team.
Perfect. We got to visit.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it, but I
think
know,
John Hart's window's too big.
I know you have opinions
That window.
about the carpet.
Well, I'm all good. I'm
They're
letting
getting
go
the
of
carpet.
everything.
We're excited about that.
It's fantastic.
Yep, we're moving in September 1st. I just want to make a plug that as you guys are thinking about space, we would like to be back at some point with our department. Or even, back in the courthouse would be ideal. And so I just don't want us to be forgotten during this 2-year period as you're thinking about where to put people and where to put our department.
So what precipitated this move?
We've just outgrown our physical
More
space.
humans.
Yeah, we just have more humans than space. And so unless we want to office share, this is our option. And because of the nature of a lot of the information that we operate with, office sharing is pretty tough.
So how could you go back with people? I don't, yeah, how could we
Yeah.
go back?
Well, I'm just assuming that if the federal building ends up happening,
Yeah.
there'll be more space available, either in the courthouse, around the courthouse, in the federal building.
There you go.
Assuming we'll have options.
Yes, we will have options.
Yes, the need is heard and space needs meets regularly, and so it'll stay on our list.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I would move that we approve the chair to sign the lease agreement.
Okay, any public comment? All in favor? All right.
Aye.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Shannon Terrio.
Live on screen.
Hello, yes, live on screen. Sorry, I'm not there working between meetings. So I am here to ask you to sign the lease agreement for William Scottman. We have a trailer out at Animal Control that we got during COVID because if you've been out to animal control, you'll know that people really have to work on top of each other. We were just not able to create space to keep people 6 feet apart. The break room is right in the middle of all the animal control officers' offices. And so, or cubicle, they're not offices, but little workspaces. And so we got a work trailer and would like to continue to use that work trailer for the next couple of years as we work to expand the building. And so that is what this is about.
Great, and you're right, that those aren't really offices. It was like a little space on a counter.
Yeah.
It's the intense in that room.
Exactly. Space on a counter is right. When you have people, they're following up on licenses, they're calling, there's just a lot of commotion and activity there. So the trailer has helped. It's not ideal, frankly. Be better to have our officers work in a space where they can work together. And so that's something that we'll be working towards, but we know it's going to take us a couple years before we can do that for sure. So this is in the budget. It's we do have it under capital. We're not going to be buying a vehicle this year, and so at some point I might need to do a budget amendment to make it all really clear. But the money is in the proposed budget.
And what this last sentence here, is that worded correctly?
Scott. Are we looking at the RCA?
I guess I'm,
Yeah.
yes. Says total compensation to Will Scott exceeds 13,248.
What should it be? Will not? Will not exceed?
I think so. I mean, that's yeah.
Typical language. but
I'm sorry, I didn't
Exceed.
write, so I'm
Well,
looking.
It could be $1 million. It's
Yeah,
just going
no.
to exceed.
Not
So
looking at
It's
the,
meant to be that per year. So we've got a 2-year contract with them.
It just should say will not exceed.
Okay.
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 Assuming,
Go ahead and do this, and
Yeah, I think just modify your motion,
just I'll read it.
Violet, to not exceed, and you guys will be all
Okay.
set. Thanks.
So I'm going to read the whole darn thing then.
okay.
All right, I would request the board approve and chair sign amendment to lease agreement, lease term renewal between William Scotsman, Will Scott, and Missoula City County Health Department, MCCHD, for animal control's lease of a trailer for additional office space. Total compensation to Will Scott will not exceed $13,248.
Okay, any public comment?
Is that per year, Shannon? So per
Yes.
year.
Per year.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon. Good
Thank
catch.
you. Appreciate it.
Angela Priest. Oh, Chris Lounsbury.
So Angela's on the meeting that Shannon's bouncing back and forth in between. So good morning, commissioners. This is the successor collective bargaining agreement with the Association of Federal, State, County, Municipal Employees, also called AFSCME, for our adult detention officers out at our jail. So this is a 3-year agreement that we're asking you to sign. It does have what we call a wage opener, which means every year we'll negotiate wages. A couple of highlight changes just to point out to you. This particular contract will have some changes to the vacation section, which improve our ability to help manage time off at the detention facility. It also addresses a couple of our issues around training and retention of new detention officers with a wage increase this year, but also their ability to have some additional officers who can assist in training by allowing them to use their corporals under certain limited circumstances to help with training of new detention officers. And then the last piece I wanted to point out also in this contract, this is our first contract where we're providing a wellness incentive. And as you can imagine, this is a very physically demanding job. And so the bargaining unit came to us with the idea of providing a little bit of an incentive for those folks out there. And so what that incentive does in this particular contract, there's a standard physical assessment given for detention officers and law enforcement officers. And what this does is incentivize folks that if they're still able to pass that, they can take it once every 2 years, then they would gain an additional one shift, basically 1 day of time off, in the equivalent in lieu of that as a personal day. So again, it's a 3-year successor collective bargaining agreement that we're asking you to sign today.
Great. All right, thanks, Chris. I would request the board approve the contract between Missoula County and AFSCME/DOAMC, Adult Detention Officers.
Any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
All right,
Aye. Thanks, Chris.
thanks.
Thank you.
I think Burke Caldwell would, wondering if he was excited or if this would please him.
That they get added benefits for being fit.
Yep.
I think it's a great idea, not just on the fitness, but morale is such a big thing there. Can keep people happier.
Yep. Hauser.
Morning, everybody. So this is the sidewalk out at Expressway. There's approximately 4,200 square feet of sidewalk out there that has in pretty bad condition, and we did an IFB to replace it. Sorry, I don't know why I'm nervous today. Did an IFB to replace it, and this is the winning contract. And there's some engineering fees associated with that for approximately $93,000.
Great.
This is
So-
the sidewalk that John Hart has run on and we're worried about him spraining an ankle.
We don't want
twisting
that to
the-
happen. So I'm just curious, because I noticed from walking around older parts of town, you walk on a sidewalk and see a stamp on the sidewalk in the concrete that says like 1915 or 1919. This had to have been pretty recent. I mean, Expressway wasn't even a road not that long ago. Why did it fail in what feels like a relatively short amount of time?
The soils that they used, how they prepped it, all of that stuff is a factor in that. Though it may meet a code or requirement that the city or the county has to put a sidewalk down, that's built over the top of like clay and that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of heaving and moving with the changes in seasons. And so what they're doing in this one is they're going to dig down 16 inches. They're going to put down what's called like a geofabric. It's a fabric that prevents some of that movement. Then they'll bring in crushed concrete, 12 inches of that, and then they'll bring in 4 inches of prep, and then they'll pour the new sidewalk over it. And that was designed by TerraTech. They're a soils engineering firm here in town that is helping us with the testing and the design of the sidewalk to help that last a lot longer.
Did we have any warranty on the old sidewalk or we're
Right.
SOL? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, shit.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for getting this done right, Jason.
Yeah, so hopefully this will get me to my retirement.
Yeah, I bet.
So,
All right, then I would request the board approve and sign the contract with Shadow Asphalt.
Any public comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Hey,
thank you.
Emery,
Good morning.
hey,
So enterprise car motor pool leasing is what we're talking about. So previous conversations, you'll remember we've struggled over the years dealing with our motor pool. We've struggled with maintenance issues, trying to keep track of things to make sure that cars are being maintained appropriately. We've struggled with affording the cars. So they're obviously a vehicle is a large capital purchase. And unfortunately, our funding model really doesn't accommodate that very well. It's never really paid back, which has led to a bit of some budget issues within the central motor pool, especially with those vehicles assigned out to different departments individually. So we've spent quite a bit of time with enterprise fleet. And what we've come up with is moving towards more of an operational model rather than a large capital model. And so what this will do is we're hoping to take 25 of our oldest vehicles, which some of them are well over 15 years old. So they're starting to run into maintenance issues. They're expensive to run. They're not very efficient from a fuel standpoint, and transition those into this model to where we would essentially have vehicles on a 5-year cycle. So the model basically includes everything but fuel. So we get the vehicles, we get the maintenance, we get the repairs, all of that's included and becomes very manageable, very easy to budget for in the long run. The nice thing too is at the end of the 5-year cycles, we actually trade the vehicles back in and recover the residual value for those vehicles that we can in turn roll back into the program to help offset our costs going forward. So as we get deeper and deeper into this, we'll be able to continually drive down costs for those. So this accomplishes a lot of things. Safety, of course, we have had issues where safety's been a problem with our vehicles. And I think one of the big ones is it helps us, of course, work towards some of our long-term climate goals. So by keeping your vehicles up to date as technology improves, so we're looking at hybrid vehicles right now. Over time, we'll probably phase in electric vehicles as it makes sense. But having this fairly constant cycle come up on a 5-year basis, it allows us to evolve our fleet as our needs and our technology changes over the next 10 years or so to meet our green energy requirements, as well as our carbon neutrality by 2035. And so I think this is a great way to work towards those goals. I feel like the way we were purchasing vehicles in the motor pool before would never get us there and would be very difficult. And so essentially what will happen is once you sign these contracts, we'll go ahead and place the order. The big manufacturers, Ford, Toyota, Chrysler, General Motors, they all take the large vehicles. They usually start production in the late part of the year. And then we'll probably won't see vehicles till spring at the earliest. So we're still several months out, but it's kind of requires that you get on the bus ahead of time and get it going. If everything goes well, which I suspect it will, other counties in the state are actually using this program. And then what we'll do is over time slowly bring in the rest of the motor pool fleet and get them all there. So we're leaving the newer vehicles out for now, but that's kind of it in a nutshell.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, we've talked about this a bunch in the past, and it's great that we can move forward.
So what happens if we all get hit by a bus within the next 5 years? This will continue. There's an alarm or something that goes off to make sure that the vehicles get turned over.
Yep. My central services team will be on top of it. So hopefully now all of us get run over at once. Yeah, so it'll just be baked into that central services process. Of course, we'll be working with departments next year to figure out how those, we will, of course, shift some of those costs to the departments, which has been lacking in the past. The general fund has really been subsidizing a lot of those costs, but for this year, we are not doing that. We're just going to do a one-time expenditure that's in the budget to get us going, and then kind of work out all the details of how that'll work long term. In addition to that, of course, you've already approved me to sign a contract for a fuel card program, the WEX program, which we're using elsewhere in the county. So that'll pair with this really nicely. And then also the enterprise rentals. So when our motor pool gets full, we'll be able to, at a very discounted rate, pull rental vehicles in so we can get people cars as needed without having to acquire more vehicles that may just sit around not being used.
Excellent.
Great, thank you. All right,
Thank
I
you.
would request the board to authorize Mr. Emery to sign the lease agreement.
Any public comment? All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
thanks.
Or correspondence? Wildfire update?
Adrian is out of the office today and I do not have an update.
Upcoming events and invitations? Oh, we adjourned
Nice.
21 minutes. Okay.
Well done.